The journey we're taking is the journey within you. Everybody has their own story and their own journey to share. Every journey conceals another journey within its lines. The path not taken and the forgotten angle. Listen to the stories from others sharing their triumphs and struggles that led them to where they are today. Welcome to the journey within you. I just get so excited on every one of these podcasts because the people that I get to bring in and share with my listeners. I mean, Erin, I am just like thrilled to have you. I don't know why it's taken me so long to even ask you to be on here, but I think I've enjoyed watching you so much that I've kind of like, oh yeah, I can have her on my podcast.
Same. Like I was like, why didn't we do this already?
I don't know. I think the timing, God knew when. And so, Erin, as I bring women on, I want you to share your journey and how it has led you to where you are today. So, however that may be.
Oh my goodness. So maybe to give you a little bit of background of where I'm at right now, and then we'll go back.
Okay.
Right now, I'm currently sitting in my RV.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We are full-time traveling RV because I have 100% committed and trusting in God and having the faith that what I'm doing is my purpose. Okay. And I sacrificed a lot to make this happen. We are living fully in faith of I am walking in this purpose and I am going to trust that everything is going to work out the way it should be, right? So I am now a life coach. I am the Unapologetic Coach, and I'm hosting events now and retreats and everything like that. And so my husband and I and my son are currently staying at a motocross track. So if you hear dirt bikes in the background that Laura can't edit out,
that's a part of your life.
That is part of my life. Every podcast, every conversation, I think has a little brap in the background, we'll say.
Yeah.
But this is our life right now because my son has a dream of being a professional motocross rider. So we are filling out all of our dreams in one, right? To travel, to have him have more exposure and to being at training facilities. And for me to get out there and I can do this work from anywhere. And my event is at a strange city, right? I picked Charlotte, North Carolina because it's beautiful. And it's not my hometown. I'm not local there, but just all of these things. So what's led me to here and where I started at in my childhood is I grew up in a great family, a loving family, my mom and my dad, but they were separated. They got divorced when I was 6 years old. And life really changed from there. From the healing work that I've done over the last few years has really pointed me back to really discovering we are who we are from our past, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. We are shaped from that childhood.
Right.
And those things that I grew up wanting to be the best, wanting the attention. I needed to have that attention and I needed to be first. I needed to be, I showed horses when I was a child. So it was always like, if you weren't first, second place was the first loser. Yeah. Right. Like I remember my dad saying that to me and it was like, I know he didn't mean it that terribly.
Right.
But that's how I grew up. Right. Yeah. Like that was just like, I had to be the best of the best. It was like, I had to be the track star, to be the best basketball player. And I wasn't. Right? I wasn't those unless I was winning one thing, but if something was not done right, it was pointed out to me. And I love my dad for that, but that also put a lot of pressure. Here's the next thing. I did have a younger brother that my parents divorced right after he was born, like 9 months old. So I was always the strong one. I was always the one that was okay. I was fine. I got good grades. I did all the things in school. I was trying my best, right? So I strive to be the best. Whew, this is getting deep already. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying not to get emotional about this. I haven't talked about this with everyone to tell my full story, right? And I just wanted to give you a background of who I am, right? Why it started. So all through high school, growing up, all of those things, my grandparents were physicians and I had thought I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to be a veterinarian. So
I was that one time too.
Yeah. So that came up at some point in my life. So that was the direction I was pushed in, and that made my parents very happy. I wanted my parents always to be happy and be proud of me.
Yeah.
So I set out of high school and went to a university where that was what my major was, veterinary medicine and equestrian studies, right? Because that's what I thought that's what they wanted me to be. And I thought that's what I wanted. And that first semester in, I realized this is not for me. I do not want to smell like horse poop. right? Like, I love
No.
it. This is not what I want to do. I wanted to be clean. It sounds funny, but I wanted to be clean when I left work.
Yeah.
I know it sounds hilarious now,
No,
like,
I
but
relate because
it
that's
was
my dad.
this thing that just came up. I'm like, this is not what I want to do. Now,
Mm,
here's the scary part that came into play. My husband now of 23 years, we've been together for 25 years. I was dating him then, right? I started dating him in my senior year.
okay.
So my parents thought, well, it's the boy, right? That I wanted to
They
drop
want
out
to
of
blame
school.
him. Yeah.
And I was like, nope, here comes the headstrong girl. I can handle it, right? I'm like, this has nothing to do with him. And at that point, he actually said to me, if you're coming home because of me, there's no place for you to come to.
Mm,
And that may sound harsh, but that's what he wanted best for me.
yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
married that man,
Yeah.
right? That's why I married that.
Yeah.
He knew he wanted the best for me. So I told my parents I was dropping out of college and going to cosmetology school.
And they probably just looked at you like, what?
And they were like, "What?" I had my dad's support. I did not have my mother's support at
Mm,
all. It's the first time in my life had no support from my mom. She actually cut me off. She was like, "Fine, if you're doing that, you're on your own. You have to pay for your own car, you have to pay for your own apartment, you are taking over everything."
wow.
And my dad stood up and said that they had had a college fund set aside for me that they were going to pay for this school. So I dropped out in December. I never went back after winter break. And I started hairdressing school, cosmetology school in January. So I did. I got a job. I worked myself all the way through school with paying for everything, absolutely everything, except for the schooling my parents did help me
He
pay for.
helped you.
But I lived on my own. I put
Hmm.
myself through all of that. So that's where my life began. And you know, at that point, I realized I finally did something that people didn't expect of me.
Hmm.
I went through a dark era younger in my life, very scary drugs and alcohol. I haven't really shared that with anyone. I was looking, searching for boys when I shouldn't have been,
Shouldn't be.
it's like
Yeah.
that. You hate to
Yeah.
say it, but to put it under the daddy issues, right? Like
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just attention and all of those
Yeah.
things. And that's what led me to my husband finally. And we've been together ever since. It got me out of that. My husband finally showed me that I didn't have to be anybody but myself.
You're right.
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 So I did that, you guys. I did that. We got married young. I was married at 19. We had our first baby at 21. We have 3 children. And
Hold on.
I was a hairdresser for 24 years, y'all, because
What?
that was the normal. I was good at it, and that's what people expected of me.
How old were you when you got married? I mean, like when you got out of school and everything, how old were you?
I was 19 when I got
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
I was 21 when we had our first daughter, and we had 3 children, all 2 years apart. So that's what I wanted. That was,
Oh, wow.
my husband and I decided that we wanted our kids young. We wanted our kids close together because we didn't have
Hmm.
that. Our siblings are not close in our age, and we're not really, really close with our siblings. So raising my kids, that was really, really important to me, is my kids to be best friends. My kids, I wanted them to know that they always had each other because we didn't
Hmm.
have that growing
You
up.
didn't
We didn't
have it.
have those,
Mm.
And seeing my children at age 20, 18, and 16 right now, they are the best of friends and the closest I have ever seen in siblings. I
I
absolutely
love
love it.
that.
So
I
that was
love that.
God's
That's
work and
so
my hard
important.
work.
Yeah.
God's work and my hard work to make that happen. But it happened. So, anyways, fast forward, that was just kind of who I was, right? I was a people pleaser. We did all of the things on it was really good behind the scenes. We have a great family, great marriage, but we were always striving, like doing things to, did it look pretty? Did we have the pretty, did we have the nice enough house? Did we drive the right
Yeah.
car? We had to prove
Yeah.
our success because I was
Right.
just a hairdresser. This sounds funny, but we had heard this before. Oh, you're just a hairdresser.
Oh,
And my
yeah.
husband was just a truck driver,
Right.
right?
Right.
So our whole lives, we were always trying to prove, you know, we had mad success in being just a hairdresser and
Hmm.
just a truck driver, right? Look at
But
all
we
the
were
things we
showing
had.
that through stuff, right?
Yes,
You had to show it through stuff.
absolutely. We were
Hmm.
showing it through stuff. We were
Yeah.
showing it through being in debt. We always say, well, you want to trade bills? You know what I mean? To have all of these things. But
Yeah.
we did it, right? It was wonderful. It was it was comfortable, right? There was
Right.
sometimes it was very uncomfortable, but we knew that that was what it was comfortable to be, that type of
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
So in 2019, I went to my first personal development conference. It was it wasn't little, it was like 80 women, right, in a retreat house. And it was a conference and retreat all in one type of thing. And I went there thinking I was going to learn more about network marketing because I had started a network marketing business in 2017. So thinking that's what I was going to learn and grow and, do that. And that was my first like stepping out of the box of not working just traditional job, right? Not just being a hairstylist, was working in network marketing. So I went there and thought that's how I was going to learn to grow, right? I left the first day and had to go for a walk by myself and just cried my eyeballs out. Right? Like just literally like
because it's so overwhelming. It's just so much that impacts you. Yeah.
There was so much coming up in my life that I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Right? Like, what am I doing? I had worked for other people for 20 years at that time. And I just am like, what am I doing with my life? So I left there in August. And in September, I said to my husband and I declared to my friends, I was no longer going to work for other people and I was going to open my own salon. After 20 years of being in this business, I had this vision of what it was going to be like, what my clients were going to experience, what they were literally going to sit in my chair and see. Like, there's just so much more. I finally began to dream more. So I did. I decided to open a salon in September of 2019 to open it in September of 2020.
Oh, no.
Okay. Do y'all want to go back and remember what happened in 2020?
Oh, what a year. What a year.
Right a year. So let alone where all the salons shut down, but it was hard. Like building supplies were going up, all of these things. And I was building a salon from the ground up, like not just renting a building, not just going to buy a building. We were literally building it on our property because that was the vision that I had to have this
right there.
Salon. My salon was called Pretty Peaceful, right? Like that was just like, that's the vision. So all of the resistance came. Well, here's the thing is I was like, oh God, I know you're going to give me resistance because it's going to be awesome. But I didn't. I opened that salon on September 28th of 2020. And that's what I said I would do.
Oh,
it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It was like this dream. I had, done all of these things and it was exactly what I wanted. So I should be happy, right? I should be fulfilled, right?
Oh, yeah. That should be
should be it. Yes. So I did that for 3 years almost, but it was about the 2-year marker when there was something else started to tick in my heart, right? Listening to women, talking to women. I had women open up to me in my chair more openly than they had for the last 20 years because they felt safe.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was just one-on-one.
Right.
And there's a lot of power in that.
Yes,
right?
there is.
And I just kept feeling this pulling, like I wanted to help them more. I mean, I loved making people pretty, right? Like making
yeah. But the inside.
But this was just outside surface is what I was being paid to do, right? But the inside surface was just lighting this fire under me. And there were so many women that I was realizing that weren't dreaming.
Yeah.
They didn't even know what their dream was. They were just on this hamster wheel of going through the motions, living their life on an unconscious level.
Been there, done that.
Right?
Yeah.
When you drive to work and you don't even know how you got there, you're totally unconscious.
I won't tell you that I drove a school bus and sometimes I got where and I didn't know how I got there.
See? Because you were just going through the motions.
I was just going through the motions.
You were paying the bills. Life didn't excite you. You were just doing the things. And I realized there's so many women doing that. And that was tearing me up. Right? So just to go back just a minute, from 2019, I never stopped diving into self-development.
Right.
Each year was a little bit more. It was another coaching program. It was another event that I was going to. Maybe it was, 2 a year instead of 1 a year. Then it was, then it turned into the year of growth. The year that I grew the most was 2023. And that's when I decided I was going all in. I put myself in a room every single month, at least once. Right. So I think I counted, I put myself in 14 different events in 2023. Right.
That's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's where the shift came. In the middle of all of this, my husband and I decided that our 2 children were graduated high school, going to school or living their lives at this point. Right. So we only were going to have 1 child at home as of June of 2023. So we decided, what if we went all in? What if we really legitly quit living under the ball in the chain of what other people thought
People
about
thought of
us,
us. Yeah.
right? Like, what if we
Right.
really just dove in and did what we wanted?
Mm-hmm.
So we did. So in March of 2023, we decided that we were going to go all in. We were going to sell our home. We were going to jump in our RV. We were going to travel this beautiful United States, give our son opportunity to go into motocross even more. And I was going to start a new business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And at that point, I wasn't
Yeah.
100% sure even what that was in March.
Yeah.
Right.
Just putting it on paper, putting it on paper,
I know I want to be
speaking
a
it out loud.
right. I know I want to get paid to speak. I know
Yeah.
I do want to write a book one day. I got to get over procrastinating because the fear is just creeping in every time I say I want to write a book. I literally have post-it
Keep
notes all over.
speaking it out.
It says write your book. You guys can't see this on
Mm-hmm.
a podcast, but I'm holding up a little green post that says write your book. I have them everywhere. I got to do that. And then it dropped into me that I want to be a coach. I really do want to help people in the masses. Like, how do we do this? Well, and I want to bring people together. I want to start creating more events. I want to create retreats. But the sacrifices that we had to make those things happen,
Huge.
that you have to dive in and you have to trust the process. We have to trust God with what it is. You know, and Laura and I recorded on my podcast. So I'm like kind of going back to a conversation that we have there is we have to dive in and you have to start taking action before the proof is shown, before
Right.
the path is actually there that God's laying out for you. You may not be able to see it yet. It's because he hasn't shown you it because you haven't taken any action.
Mm-mm. That's what we were talking about. You lay it at your feet, and like you were saying too, people walk over it.
Yep.
And he's like, wait, come back. I've
Yep.
got it right here for you. I
He
want you
put
to take action and start going forward.
he
And he's
put
going to give you the tools.
yes, he put that dream in your head
Mm-hmm.
and he's laying opportunities at your footsteps every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the idea, are you actually taking them?
Right.
Even when they're scary as hell.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
be frank, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it drops into me like I'm good. Let's sell your home, your beautiful home that you
Mm-hmm.
totally did. You've built homes, you've done all this thing that you build a business. You just build a business
And you're
too.
going to walk away from
You're gonna
that?
walk away from a business that is thriving, that is doing amazing. It is better than I could have ever imagined. So here's
Mm-hmm.
the thing I want you guys to know. It's not always bad things that you're walking away from to
Right.
move forward.
Right.
Sometimes you have to let go of past identities in
Oh, that's
financial
good.
securities
Mm-hmm.
of the things that look normal on the outside to move forward to the bigger purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? People thought I was nuts that I was doing this, or they
Right.
think you're failing. I can't even go into, or I can go into, Laura,
You can.
is what people say about you
Yeah.
when you start doing things outside of the norm.
Yeah.
There is very few that say good things. There is
That's
a
right.
vast amount of people that want to point all the negativity
Mm-hmm.
and want to start rumors, want to say things about you that are not true. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing is we had done the healing work, meaning I could handle it.
Yeah.
It
Bring
didn't
it.
bother me.
Bring it.
I would say because I knew who I was.
Right. Right. And that's so key right there is
Yeah.
being grounded in you, God and you and knowing, because if you're not, you're going to have those pulls and you're going to start self-doubting. Well, maybe we are making a mistake. Maybe I should stay where I am. Maybe I
Yeah.
should. But, in my situation, we were in the hard
Yeah.
and we did have to take action, but it was for our good now. I mean, look at the good now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have to take action.
Well, I always say you could should all over yourself, right?
Yeah.
You could should all over yourself.
Yeah. Should have.
Yes. But when you take that action, everything plays out. You have to take the action sooner than later in
Mhm.
anything in life. If it's
Mhm.
been dropped into you for a dream that's been dropped into you, start taking action right now to start making it happen. It's that
Yeah.
first step that you have to take, right?
Yeah. Like I was telling you, I used to record like this with a
Yep.
cell phone.
Yep.
I mean, I knew if I did not start, I was going to keep saying, well, I don't need to anyway. Why do I need to do a podcast?
Yeah.
You
So
know?
that's for you listening. I really want you to drop in for just a second and think to yourself, what is your dream?
Mm.
Right? Have you even thought about it? And I mean your dream, not the dream for your children, not the dream for your partner. What is your dream?
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we get stuck in these roles as mom, wife, as, employee,
Mm-hmm.
all of these roles that we have to do. But what is it that you want to do?
Right. And you have it, it's in there, but we
Yes,
hold it back so that we can be all those other things.
we
Because I
play it
told you that.
small.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play
We
it
have to
small.
let it go and let it out because you're going to be blessed tremendously. I mean, look at you now, Erin. I mean, when I see you, I think of fire, just
Ah,
igniting everywhere, just lighting it up, and not worried about what anybody may say. And because you're in your calling,
I
and
am.
look out, watch out, because that's how it's supposed to be. And when you get in that mode, it just flows, you
And
know?
I love how you say that, Laura, that my like shining light, right? Like it's
Mhm,
just on fire, whether it's
mhm.
fire or a light, however you want to think about it. Because for a long time, I dimmed my light, fear of
Yeah.
other people's opinions. I
Yeah.
worked in places where if I would have told the people, if I would have stayed, here's the thing, and here's why steps happen. I had to open my salon. I had to get on my own to be able to step into what I'm doing right now.
Exactly.
If I would have stayed in the same place around the same people,
Mhm,
they would have thought I was freaking crazy. They thought I was crazy to open my own, but they
mhm.
really would have thought I was crazy to go out and do what I'm doing right now.
Exactly.
Okay, but I had to know that it was their own fears getting in the way,
Mhm,
right? They were
mhm,
feared of like it shows other people's insecurities when you
mhm.
start stepping out.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, my passion is to collaborate with women and to teach women that your light shining brightly does not dim anyone else's. When you
No.
start shining your light, it gives them the courage to
To
turn their
shine.
light on,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
To shine brighter. And I always
Yes.
say, listeners, I want you to visualize being in a room right now. Do not close your eyes if you're driving, okay?
Yeah.
But
Please don't.
visualize, if you're not driving, close your eyes and I want you to take
Mhm,
this visualization, okay?
mhm.
Visualize yourself in a dark room, very dark room. And I want you to turn on your light all the way. Like, you remember those flashlights that have like different phases?
Yes, you
Like
can
there's
go
one
different,
click,
yeah,
two click, three
levels.
click. I
Yeah.
want you to turn yours on all the way.
Mhm,
Okay. And now think about the person that's beside you that couldn't see her button to turn her light on.
mhm,
So she turns her light on, and the person next to her, and now the person in front of you
mhm,
can have more light. So they turn their light on.
mhm.
And now think about going on and on. So now two people turn their light on. Now four people. Now six people. Now it's just doubling. Now 12 people. Now 24 people. Now we're up to 100 people, right? Like think about this just lining or this lighting just up. How bright is that room now?
Mhm.
How many smiles are turned on? Are you just thinking about this? Like the visualization of happiness, the smiles that get turned on,
Oh, yeah.
right? Now open your eyes and visualize that huge light.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's about. That's what I love about this community and putting yourself in rooms because you unite. We're not trying to tear one down. We're not jealous of this one doing this step. We learn from that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think envy shows you there is a good envy. I do believe that you can be envy because it's going to push you, like turning the light on. It's going to push you to want, well, hey, I could do something like that. Why have I held back? You
Yeah.
know? So putting yourself in the room with these people and just shining your light as bright as theirs. It's not about one or the other.
No. And what I did, I love how you talk about getting in the room because the idea of that's what changed me. You have to really think about the five people that you surround yourself with, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are the five people you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to a room and level up with women, you're going to keep leveling up.
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah.
keep leveling up. They're going to push you to do the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're hanging out with people who are completely complacent.
Yeah.
That is where you'll stay.
Yeah.
That is where they'll hold you. Have you ever seen crabs in a bucket?
Yeah. Oh,
They
they
cannot
yeah.
get out.
Lived in New Orleans, honey, and they'd bring us those big old buckets and they are trying to get out as fast as they can get out. Yeah.
Yep. But they're always pulling each other down, right?
And they're always pulling each other back down because they want to be first. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have had to let some people go.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
did it lovingly. And I appreciated their time in my life, but it was not aligning with my core values or my standards because I knew where I wanted to go and they weren't coming. So I wasn't going to stay there and be in that.
What I say about people, and I heard this from a dear friend of mine, Derek, is people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yep.
Right?
And I think we get a lot of lifetimers in the group we're in. I'm telling you
We
that.
do. We sure do. We
Oh, that's
sure
the
do.
beautiful thing of it because I feel that to the core when I'm
I
in those rooms. I feel like I could call on any one of you. And you know that from the last experience from this last conference.
yes, I
I
do.
want you to share a little bit about that because through our thing that we went through and the community that came around me and still coming around people I don't know, Erin,
Yeah.
reaching out, praying, sending money. And I'm like, but Tim, they don't even know us, but they're doing this
You're gonna make me tear up, y'all.
because this is you and you've experienced this just last couple of months. We
That's
were
the
all
first time I've
shocked when
ever
that
experienced
happened. We were like,
anything like that. Yeah, and it was like I have never been so humbled
mm,
and been so life, right? And I had no idea. I've never been in a situation like that. You guys, this past January, I was at an event and I spoke on stage. I was my
mhm,
day. I danced on stage. We did all of the things, and I didn't feel real well the day before I went. But I was like, I'm going. Like this
push
was my
through.
moment, right? And I just kept praying to God. I literally was said, God, get me through Thursday. I need to be here. This is a huge moment for me. Get me through Thursday. Well, God got me through Thursday, right? God
Hmm.
got me through that day.
Yeah.
And Friday, I woke up. I did not feel well. Um, I was like, I'm not going to do yoga this morning. My friend was like, let's go do yoga. You feel better. I'm like, I don't think so.
Think
I don't
so.
think I feel better today.
No.
So I didn't do yoga. I got up, got showered, got ready to go, went down to the event. I'm like, I need to grab something to eat, right? Grabbed a coffee and a little breakfast sandwich. I went in and I sat and I'm like, okay, I didn't feel great, but I'm like, I'm okay. I can
Mm,
sit here. And I got up a few times and danced. And about 4:30, I got up and did my final dance, we'll say.
mm,
Did my final dance. I stomped and I felt this unbelievable amount of burning and pain in my whole innards, right? My whole innards.
mm.
But I'm tough. I'm stubborn. This you'll learn
Yes.
about, right? I have a high tolerance of pain because I'm fine. I'm fine. I can get through this. I'm
Hmm.
like, I got shiz to do, we'll
And you
say.
can't
Like,
miss this
I
stuff.
can't miss this stuff. I went back to my seat, sat down, and I sat there for about another half hour. And I realized I really do not feel well. So literally snuck out. I'm like, I'm just going to go up to my room, go to the bathroom, and lay down for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love the speaker that was speaking, but I'd heard her a few times, and I'm like, this is now the time I'm going to sneak out. I want to make sure I don't miss the next speaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went up to my room, I went to the bathroom, and that's when I realized that my abdomen was very, very, very swollen, like very
Mm.
swollen. Like, what is going on? And I'm like,
Oh,
well,
wow.
I'm just going to lay down. Just going to lay down for like a half hour, and then I'll go back down. Well, I laid down. I woke up an hour and a half later and I called my husband and I was a wreck, right? I'm
Yeah.
like in so
Yeah.
much pain. I don't know what's wrong with me. I was scared. To be honest, I was scared.
Yeah. Oh, you
It
had to
felt like
be.
that. And he's like, Erin, you have to hang up the phone and call your mom. My mom was at this event, and this is another God thing.
Hmm.
My mom has never gone to an event like this. She's never been anything with me when it comes to this kind of stuff. And she had decided the Friday before, just the week
Oh,
before, not
my
even a full week.
goodness.
Yes.
It's a God thing.
It was. So she was down there. She hadn't even realized I'd left because we weren't sitting together. Because when I go to events, I don't sit
You
with anyone.
sit all over. Yeah.
I like to meet new people.
Yes.
And I called her, and immediately I didn't say anything. I said, I need you to come to my room. I need you to get with my friend because we weren't rooming together. I said, I need you to find my friend. Well, she knows Lori, my best friend Lori.
Mhm.
I said, I need you to find Lori and get the key and get up here. So she did because you needed the elevator key. You couldn't get up to there,
Yeah, I know.
you know.
Yeah.
So she got up to my room and then she realized it was me. Because when I
Mm.
called her, I was just in tears. She thought something happened to one of my children.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that was a moment when I was like, Mom, I need to get to urgent care right now. Something's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with something's wrong. So I went to urgent care. They immediately realized I needed to get to a hospital immediately. So they took me by ambulance. They wouldn't let me leave because it was really bad. The pain had set in. At this point, I had no idea what was wrong. Through
Mm.
all these tests, Friday morning, about 7:15 in the morning, a crash carts rolling into my room because they were losing me. Like everything had dropped. All my vitals had dropped. Blood pressure, blood sugar, heart rate,
Mm,
everything had
mm.
dropped. Very, very scary. My husband is in the middle of driving 16 hours to get to me.
I was
It was
praying for that. Oh gosh.
insane. And needless to say, I spent 6 days in the hospital with a massive kidney infection and I was sepsis.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's very, very insane. But through this whole process, this community that came through for me, that there was prayer circles happening.
hmm.
Whew,
Yes, girl.
and all of the things that you guys
Hmm.
pulled through for me
Hmm.
was insane. I've been a part of that, but never on the side of it.
Not this side. Yeah. Yeah. We've
And
always been the giver,
yes,
our call, our prayer, whatever, however you do it.
and realizing that this community that I had decided to join back in 2019 was so crazy.
Hmm.
God loving people that prayed for me,
Hmm.
that he heard all of their prayers.
Oh yeah.
My mom was just blown away because
Oh,
remember now, this was her first experience. She's
yeah.
like, I didn't realize how many people loved you.
Oh, isn't that the
You
sweetest
know,
thing?
like,
That's what Tim is like. How many people do you know? And I said, well, I know them, but yet, do we really know them?
well, that was the next thing is realizing, mind you, I was not on any social media. I did not have my phone like
Yeah.
the entire time I was in the hospital. My
No,
senses
you were taking care of you.
I didn't watch any TV, nothing. Like I didn't want noise. My girls flew in, my dad flew in, and I was like, I was really sensitive to everything. It was just
Yeah.
I was sleeping a lot here and there, like it was like you don't sleep in a hospital, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
I was really healing. I was very, very sick.
Mm.
And when I got out, and even the couple days of the drive home, I was on my phone a little bit, but you can't even take in all of the messages. You
No.
can't take in all of the, honestly, it was just tagged in something the other day that I had no idea. The whole message
That
that
you
I
had
never
had.
saw.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like I had
yeah.
never seen any of it.
Yeah.
And so it was just so still to this day. I'm so grateful. And those names that, like you said, it's people that I didn't even really know.
Yeah.
I don't even recognize the name. Even my husband was like, "Who's that?" I'm like,
I
honestly, I don't.
don't know. I don't know. And I start reading them to Tim and I couldn't even halfway read them. I'd start
Yeah.
crying. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're saying these things, but they don't know us. They just know the story and they know you need prayer and they know when you're going through hard. And what a blessing. I mean, what a blessing.
And this all started because I stepped into who I was meant to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
authentically,
Just think
right?
if you had closed those doors,
Yep.
it'd be
Yep.
so sad. Oh,
If I
yeah.
did take the opportunity that God laid in front of me,
We're
even when it was
brave.
scary, even when it was really, really freaking hard,
Hmm.
right?
And they're
But
still going to be hard and there's still going to be things. But
yes,
now we're in a new purpose and reading that we know he's got us and we can handle these things and we'll get through it.
the
Not,
thing, the book that I read, can I share a book? The book that I
oh,
read
yeah.
during this process of making this big shift in my life, right? When I decided to close down my business, when I decided to sell our home, all of that was actually going through some things with my oldest daughter at the time too. He
Mm,
was making choices like that. I was like, ah,
I know. Been there.
But here's the thing. I was reading The Magic of Surrender by Kurt Blackson.
I haven't read that yet. I've
You
got
need
it.
to read that book.
Okay.
I that's what got me through that whole part of my life. And
Mm,
that has been another book that literally has transformed my life. I always refer to this book when I am in any amount of, I don't know what's going to happen, stress, worry, anxiety, anything creeps in, I
yeah.
surrender
Surrender.
because it is not in my control. I take action.
Yes.
This is a conversation that we were having earlier too, is
Yes.
that I don't sit in worry long. I
Right.
don't sit in stress long
Hmm.
because there's things that I know God has figured out for me. I surrender
Definitely.
and I take action,
Right.
right?
I use the word a lot this past since August as I pivot.
Yep,
We can
pivot.
always pivot. We don't have to keep going down that path. We'll pivot and we'll figure it out. We'll surrender to whatever now.
And I
And
always
that's how it's kept us going.
the moments that I'm really starting to get worked up, right? That worry's really creeping in. I take that big physical breath, right? Like
Hmm.
then and I let it
Let it
out.
out.
So I want
Yeah.
you to do that right now as listeners. Like you can do this driving too. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and physically push it out your mouth, right?
Man, feels so good.
And I want you to say these words. Everything always works out for me, right? He's got you this
Right,
far. You've made it this far in life. Everything always works out for me.
right.
Life is working for you,
Faith
not to you.
and trust.
Yes, ma'am.
All
All the
right, sweet friend. I love where this journey has taken you, and I can't wait to see where it's
That was
going
a long one.
because
Sorry.
no, I am so excited for our listeners because they don't know,
Yep.
there's things they see parts on
Yep.
social and how we do, but I want people to hear how you've gotten and how the trust and how you did the things, the surrender. But I have a stack of cards that I love to share in the afternoon or after a podcast, and it's scripture texts, and I shuffle them and then I just leave it. And whatever's on top, that's what I read. And so today with our podcast, it says, you will live secure and full of hope. God will protect you and give you rest. And that's Job 11:18. And I just love how he puts the right words, the right scripture
Wow.
at the moment that we need it. So whew, that gives me chills
Wow.
every
I
time
was just
because
gonna say that
again,
just gave me chills all the way up.
yeah. So another thing I love to end with is, of course, I'm going to put all her information in the podcast. It'll air before her event. So all that'll be there where you can click on it, go for it, be a part of it, get yourself in the room.
Yes,
You
come see
won't
us.
regret
I
it.
want to hug you.
Yes, we all
I'm a
do. You'll get
hugger,
the
so
biggest hug. I'm a hugger too. So yeah,
yes.
you're going to get double hugs. But I love to ask my guests, what is something you love to collect and why?
Collect.
Yeah, what do you like to collect? What is something that's meaningful to you that you collect?
So this is so funny that you ask me that, especially because I just got rid of all of my things,
Hmm.
right? So
Right.
here's the things that I always say is don't collect things, collect memories.
Hmm.
I know
Awesome.
it sounds cliche to
No,
sound,
no.
but I say that because to be able to collect the memories, you have to be present.
Yes. Oh, and see, I can resonate with that so big because in August, I always keep going back, but when we sold, I had a 4,000 square foot home. I
Yep.
had walk-in closets everywhere, stuff, collect, collect, collect. So I understand the getting rid of and being in the moment of the memories. And I'm a picture taker and I take tons of pictures and I think, why? What happens? They just stash over here or cards, keeping every single card that came in the house. No, open the card, live in that moment, appreciate that moment, and it's gone. I don't have to hold on to it. The memory is stored in my bank here. But I do collect a couple of things. I mean, I have angels that I love because they have special meaning.
Mhm.
People have given them to me, not tons of them, but just certain ones. And I had a precious lady just recently painted me one that she's battling colon cancer again. And it's tough. And so that holds meaning, and I can pray every time I look at that, I think of her. So
Yep.
that's something that like I like to collect, but I love that you.
So here's the thing, just to share one last little thing too, of teaching my children a little bit about this too, and the reaction that we got from them, like the feedback that we got from them. Because I always say memories, but when I say memories, it's about being present, but it's collecting experiences,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So with my children for the holidays now, we don't do a lot of stuff anymore,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
one, it's hard to store. They're older now. I mean, I was in my stuff era for a long time. I'm no
Yeah.
longer in my stuff era. Stuff
Yeah.
era. Yeah.
That's the word.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm in my experience era. And I said to my kids, what if we don't do stuff for Christmas? What if we do experiences, do different things?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we did that this year, right? Because financially we were like a little bit more tight and we're like, what are we going to do? Remember, I left my whole career and I'm just
Yeah.
starting the next one. So that's
Yeah.
just starting,
Yeah.
And so that's just where we're at with that. And they said when we were done, that was the best Christmas ever
I know.
because
And
we
I,
spent
I,
time
I just,
together. We had experiences. We didn't open stuff and
yeah.
collect things that literally had they don't even remember. Most
Right.
kids remember maybe one thing from the holiday, right?
Right. Right.
And but when you create experiences, so right then we made a commitment to make an experience for next year's Christmas. Like I
Yeah.
cannot wait. We
That's
booked
gonna be
the
so.
Airbnb. We are doing big experiences. We are going
Oh,
feeling. We are doing all of the things. So yes, so
much
that's
more
my
meaningful.
Yes. So I dare you to start collecting experiences.
I love that. That's beautiful. Erin, thank you for
Thank you
being
so much.
on today. I have just
So
loved
honored.
these conversations. I've loved it.
Yes,
I
thank
can't
you so
wait to
much. I'm
see
so
you.
honored. I'm so glad that we finally were like, let's do this. And there's a funny story behind this, y'all, too. Laura and I were like,
Yeah.
let's book our podcast together. And we literally picked the same day, an hour apart. So here we are. We did them back to back, and I love it. And I'm
Yeah.
finally glad that we finally connected and got to
Me
hear each
too,
other's
girlfriend.
stories a little bit more. So
All
thank you
right.
so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining my podcast today. We all have a story to share. Each story has purpose and makes an impact to you, the listener, creating a journey with passion and purpose. The journey we're taking is the journey within you. Please share with others and subscribe below.